What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Ana Kasparian, and I'm super excited for the show today because not only are we going to talk about some pretty controversial topics and ask very, very personal questions, we also have some great panelists on the show today. So who are they? We have Colin Wright. If you're not familiar with him, it's because we haven't had him on the show yet, but I'm super excited to have you on the show today, Colin. He is an author and a full-time traveler. I asked him if he lived in LA, and he was like, I don't really live anywhere. I'm a citizen of the world, right?
It's a difficult question, always loaded.
Yeah, the last place he lived was the Philippines. No big deal, okay? So I'm super excited to have you on the show, hear some of your answers, get to know you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. We also have Chen, who of course is a returning panelist and one of my absolute favorites. He's a comedian and actor. He's been on a number of different television shows this year. I think you booked 7 TV shows this year alone.
A few.
Not a big deal. I just have celebrities on here.
No. I'm just happy to be working. Please,
intimidating.
I need some rent money. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you guys on. And we are going to talk about, unfortunately, a very terrible story in the porn industry. We'll get to the details of that. There are some rape allegations against one very well-known porn star. Also, the daughter of a DEA agent got caught with possession and possibly trafficking very, very hardcore drugs. Hackers can hack into a new Barbie product. We'll tell you which product that is. And finally, women with tattoos might have more confidence than women without. That's according to a study. We'll get to that later on in the show. But first, let's start off with the unfortunate story. A porn performer by the name of Stoya has accused porn actor James Deen of sexually assaulting and raping her. Now, she did this through Twitter, and it led to a number of other porn actresses coming forward with their own accusations against Deen. Now, I want to show you the tweets in question here. The first tweet from Stoya says the following: that thing where you log into the internet for a second and see people idolizing the guy who raped you as a feminist, that thing sucks. The second tweet said, James Deen held me down and fucked me while I said no, stop, used my safe word. I just can't nod and smile when people bring him up anymore. Now, after she posted those very, very difficult tweets to put up there, especially against a very well-known porn actor, a number of other porn actresses, former porn actresses, came forward and they shared their own personal stories in solidarity with her. 2 of those women were Tori Lux and Ashley Fires. Lux wrote in June of 2011 that Deen had asked her to sniff his testicles, and then after she refused, he forced her head into his crotch. Also pinned her to a mattress and hit her in the face several times. She says the incident took place on a major porn set, and the reason why she didn't come forward was because she was afraid of the consequences. She was afraid of losing job opportunities because of these accusations, and she also knew that women in the porn industry do get demonized, and if they are raped, it doesn't get taken as seriously because people think that porn actresses put themselves in unsafe situations. Of course, that's not true, and I couldn't disagree more. Now, this is the type of story that's difficult to have a concrete, hardcore point on. By the way, that pun was not intended.
Wow.
Anna.
But I know I seriously didn't mean that pun. But the one thing I will say is, unfortunately, at this moment, no charges have been brought against him. He has not been tried in a court of law. I don't know what the truth is, which is why it's difficult to pass judgment. The only thing that I can really say is that it's incredibly important as a victim of sexual abuse to come forward and report it as soon as possible. Because if you are a porn star who wants to change the mentality people have about porn actresses, well, you need to come out and tell people what the reality is and some of the abuses that you have dealt with as a porn actress. That's my take on it. Colin, what do you think? Make your point.
Totally agree with your points. I would add 2 things. One, that this is ridiculously common, obviously, and it's not just for porn actresses or people in any adult industry. It's women in general that have trouble coming out with this because society tends to push back in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
But 2, it's very heartening to see that tools like Twitter are allowing the conversation at least to be a little bit more egalitarian in that they can state their case, they can put it out there, get it on record, do it from hopefully a safe place. And then as a result, push back against this bias because the deck really is stacked against women in society with a lot of things, but with anything sex-related in particular.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great point. Hank, make your point.
I've always been a part of the camp that believes that sex work should be regulated so that there first isn't the stigma and shame associated with doing that, because let's be honest, these people provide a lot of private pleasure for us everyday citizens, and yet we're shamed and embarrassed and humiliated to talk about it and even acknowledge them to be at our level. And I think if we begin there, someone like Stoya would feel more comfortable speaking out about something like this, which is awful.
Yeah, you make a really great point. I think that we stigmatize people in the sex work industry and we assume that these are bad people, what they're doing is taboo, and that, again, that they put themselves in a dangerous situation. But this is the career path that they've chosen to take. A lot of them do it because they want to do it. And so there needs to be protections put in place for them, regardless of the nature of their work. And so that's why I say it's really important for victims, whether it's men or women, to come forward and share their stories and go after these, predators that exist all around us, not just in the porn industry. All right, so here's the personal question for this story. Let me look for it right now. There it is. Name a time when someone you know violated your trust. Colin.
I am a business person. I've started my first business at 19, and I've dealt with a lot of people who have violated my trust. And the result of that, that you can't trust people enough to just do a handshake contract, is that now with my current business, which is a publishing company, we have a policy on record that we do not do business with assholes. That is part of the contract that me and my partners all signed.
I like that.
So
How do you determine if someone's an asshole? Like, are there strict standards that you guys have in the contract?
We haven't worked up a complete rubric just yet, but usually it's the kind of, an asshole when you meet an asshole
yes,
type
absolutely. You feel it right away.
I want to
sometimes.
see that rubric, though.
Yeah.
Like, what qualify? Did he flip somebody off in traffic? Did he, you know what I mean? Like, that's interesting, Colin.
It is wildly situational, yeah.
Right.
So
Always the innovator, this one right here. Yeah.
I mean, come talk to me after I read my mentions on Twitter, and then you'll meet a real asshole. Puts me in a real bad mood.
not doing business with any of them, no.
right?
No randos in the YouTube comments or anything.
No anonymous eggs that have strong opinions about you.
No, hate those eggs.
Yes, hate them as well. Hank, what about you?
When I was still figuring out my sexuality, I think a lot of people that I grew up with or even went to college with, they started talking amongst themselves. And I didn't find this out until after I came out, but it kind of hurt my feelings where a lot of people were like, oh yeah, 4 years ago we all knew. We were at some house party and someone was like, did Henry come out yet? And we're like, oh no, he's still closeted. And I was like, really? Really, why didn't somebody tell me? Why didn't you, or these were never people that stood alongside me to be like, hey, I think Ellen DeGeneres is pretty damn funny. Or Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
Good movie, that Brokeback Mountain. Should have won the Oscar. I was like, nobody, but everyone knew. And so to me, that felt a little well, would have been nice if someone said something.
Right, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think people are uncomfortable though, because what if they're wrong?
Yeah, but that's why you're subtle about it. If I thought you were gay, I'd be like, yo, Anna, that girl's got some pretty boobs. What do you think? You know what I mean? You don't want to flat out be like, carpet muncher. I'm not going to just shout it out. You ease into it and let you know that, hey, you have an ally here who knows your secret.
I think unless you're on Twitter, then if you're an egg, you can yell whatever you like.
Call them out. Call them out. Exactly.
Subtlety is key. That's a great point.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had my trust betrayed, just like the vast majority of people. I would say the most recent time that I had my trust betrayed was actually a relationship I had with a colleague. We were very close, and later on I found out that the friendship was really based on opportunities that I can provide for this individual, as opposed to really wanting to spend time with me, valuing our friendship, valuing our relationship. And so that was difficult.
But we got over it, and here I am.
I know.
So now we're good.
I know.
We're good again now. Yeah, we are.
How do you filter for something like that, I wonder?
It's difficult. I mean, I was very trusting and naive. And also, we work in this environment at TYT Network where we're all more than just colleagues. At least I think of everyone around me as more than just colleagues. And so when I treat people like my family, I expect to kind of get the same treatment in return. And unfortunately, that's not what happened with this person. But that's life. Well, tell me the last time someone betrayed your trust. Share your comment in the section below. Tell us what you think about this story, and we'll talk to you soon. Everyone knows that there is a very clear two-tier justice system in the United States. If you're from a higher socioeconomic status, or if you have certain connections, you'll get away with certain crimes. If you're poor and powerless, not so much. Case in point, we have an adorable 19-year-old, at least that's the way she's being referred to in the media, by the name of Sarah Ferre. Apparently, this girl got caught with an insane amount of drugs, okay? The 19-year-old was found to be in possession of 31 grams of packaged cocaine, methamphetamine, 126 grams of marijuana, 29 tablets of ecstasy, and 60 doses of LSD. Now, if this story isn't interesting enough for you yet, keep in mind that her father is a special agent for the DEA. His name is Bill Foray, and possibly because of the connections that this young woman has, she was able to get a bail amount that was so incredibly low, only $38,000, and she was able to leave the jail that she was detained in. Now, as you guys know from stories that we've covered on the Young Turks, if a poor person gets caught with possession of marijuana, it is very likely that their bail will be higher, and it's also very likely that they're going to be given an insanely long prison sentence. Now, this woman is facing a number of charges. She could get a very long prison sentence, so I don't want to jump the gun and be too hard on our justice system in regard to her yet. However, keep in mind that there are more than 3,000 nonviolent offenders behind bar right now that have absolutely no chance of getting out of prison. They have life sentences without the chance of parole. These are nonviolent offenders, meaning that they got caught with drug possession or trafficking or something like that. So we need to do something about the way our justice system works. Do I think her life should be ruined over the fact that she wanted to sell Molly? No, probably not. But we need to treat everyone equally. That's my point. Colin, make your point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's really unfortunate that we are trying to legislate what people can and cannot do to their bodies in general.
Yes.
So the idea, like, it's not my thing, but I think you should be able to inject or snort or do whatever the hell that you want, and let's just tax it. You know, let's get some money for schools that we don't have. In this case, I'm torn as a result because on one hand, yeah, she's breaking the law, and it really sucks when somebody who has connections gets away with something that other people are suffering for. But long term, I'd like to see it be the case that this is not illegal.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, people will hear that statement and they'll freak out because they think you're advocating for, like, injecting heroin or something. You and I are on the same page, by the way. But I just want to make sure you elaborate your point so people understand what you mean. Legalize it, regulate it.
Regulate, exactly. And that's what I mean by tax it, is that ideally we have rules for alcohol. We have rules for tobacco. If we have rules for marijuana and rules for cocaine, these things become not healthy exactly, but neither is McDonald's. So
that's exactly right.
We have a lot of unhealthy things that are regulated and hopefully contribute back to the social good.
Yeah, I had some pancakes for breakfast with like insanely sugary syrup
essentially
all over
cocaine.
it, right?
It's essentially cocaine.
I feel like I am pretty
cocaine.
hopped up right now.
Yeah.
Hank, what about you? Make your point.
This will not be a McDonald's branded video first, but I know what you're saying. But right now it's sort of like we got to work with the rules of what we got. So if we're all 16, you two shouldn't be allowed to drink, and I get in trouble, right?
Exactly.
So this is just how it is. I mean, when I saw this picture and I read the story, I was this bitch was she was weighing shit. She had scales. She had scales.
She did.
She was in. I mean, she was Breaking Bad.
Yes,
this
she
one
was.
right here. I mean, she did math. She had she had a calculator. This was a business bitch right here.
But that's the question. That's the question.
Yeah.
I mean, is she a hardened criminal or is she a savvy businesswoman?
She's a savvy businesswoman, but to your point, you know, in your utopian future, this will be regulated and not illegal. But right now, it is illegal. So what she did was wrong. I was gonna say, looking at her mugshot reminds me of the Paris Hilton perp walk.
Yes.
She did 5 months for DUI. Are you kidding? She had a red carpet there. She had a red carpet out. She had a part. It was ridiculous to me. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Whereas someone who was not as well connected, forget about the race thing.
Right.
They'd be in there for years and years and years and years and years.
It's all about, I mean, race does play a role, but socioeconomic status, the amount of money you have, plays a bigger role.
Yeah.
Because think about it, if you're wealthy, you can hire the best defense attorneys in the country.
Right.
And if you have those resources, you're likely to get a lower bail. You're likely to get a lower sentence or a plea bargain. And something tells me that Sarah Foray isn't too worried about her future, especially with the pose that she had in that
You can see it in the mugshot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, house arrest? Oh, in her mansion?
Yes.
You know, like, right?
Exactly.
Oh, I can't leave my spa. Okay. Right.
Sorry. Oh my God, like I have like the best ecstasy pills right now. I totally got them from my
hope.
DEA father.
God, I hope she talks like that. That would
She looks like she does, but I don't know.
She does. Yeah.
All right, so here is the personal question for the story. What's the biggest secret that you've kept from your parents? I love this story. Hank, I'm going to start with you.
When I was little and kind of dabbling with like school plays and musicals and kind of getting into comedy, you know, I did a few, and I remember my dad like one day driving me to a rehearsal. It was for some like Christmas musical thing. I was like in 6th grade. I remember him being like, I will do everything I can to keep you from doing Broadway. And he said it so somberly and so, I was like, holy shit. And so as like the artistic bug never went away, it just became ingrained. I was like, I cannot share my dreams or my aspirations with my family. So I did it all behind their back, and I'm okay. So
And they're accepting of it now?
I mean, we don't talk. We don't talk, but I mean, I'm doing okay. Yeah.
Good,
I
good.
mean,
Look, you got to follow your dreams, right? And I get where you're coming from.
Right.
Like, I come from a very hardcore immigrant family, and you don't play by certain rules. You're considered like the outcast. Like, I have a relationship with my immediate family, but that's pretty much it.
Right.
And it's because of decisions I've made in my life.
Right.
You know.
Well, quickly just to add on this, take 20 seconds. But you know, they were not happy with the acting thing first, and then they were really like, it was like the 1-2 punch when then I came out, and then I decided that enough was enough. And then when I started booking television and they started seeing me on television, apparently it was all okay again. So I was like, that's weird to me because I'm playing very gay characters on TV. Ain't no one's going back in the closet now.
I think with the acting thing, at least when it came to my parents telling me that I couldn't act, because when I was a kid, that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
They were worried that, like, let's keep it real, that I'm gonna fail and then be depressed and unsuccessful.
Right.
So maybe that's what it was. And then now you're kicking ass, and it's like, okay, we're kind of proud.
Kind of, right. Something to brag about. Right. I
Yes,
understand.
exactly. Yeah. Colin, what about you?
I'm so glad I'm not an actor. I got very, very lucky in the parent lottery. These are the types of parents that I was living out in LA running a successful branding studio, and I called them up and said, you know, I think I'm gonna like close my studio and I'm gonna travel the world. Maybe I'll like write or something. And they just said, okay, well, if you need a plane ticket home, let me know.
That's amazing, man.
So I got really lucky. Don't hide much from them. When I was younger, though, Catholic background, my entire family, we didn't talk about sex or anything even close to sex. The talk that I got from my dad, I remember very distinctly because it was very short.
Yeah.
Driving me back from my first girlfriend's house because I couldn't drive yet. And he turns down the radio and says, you know you have a responsibility.
Oh my God.
And I just nod. And he nods and turns the radio back on.
Oh my God. That's
I think that's as close as we got when I was a kid to talking about it. So there was a lot of that stuff going on when I was younger.
Yeah, seriously.
No dice.
Oh my God.
So the secret you hid from your parents is that you were having sex? Is that what?
That was my secret until I was like 28.
To answer that question. Me too, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
I was being very coy.
It's so funny. So I had one really big secret that's no longer a secret, and then one current secret that is a secret with my dad. My big secret was that I had sex. My mom asked me when I was 28 whether or not I lost my virginity, and she asked me in like the most uncomfortable way. We're at Target, we're in like the dollar section of Target, and she's like, you know, Anahit, I just wanted to ask you, did I have sex, Mom? Yes, I'm 28. I've had sex. Like, you should be happy about that. If I was 28 and I said I hadn't had sex yet, then that's when you can be concerned.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
There's something wrong with that. By the way, at that point, I had been with someone for like 7 years. So love you, Mom. I know a lot of moms want to be in denial about that. The biggest secret I have right now is I'm an atheist and my dad doesn't know. And so I'm getting married in September of next year. And my dad, when we went to go look at venues to have the wedding, I decided to do the ceremony at the same venue where the reception's taking place. My dad's like, what do you mean? But what about church? And I was like, I'm not going to get married in a church because, you know, Christian's family's coming from out of town. I don't want to like be an inconvenience. I want it all to take place in the same place. And he's like, okay, I get pastor for you. And I was like, no, I don't want a pastor. And he's like, okay, I don't understand. I was like, we'll talk about it later. And we haven't talked about it since.
That's a hard
So on the
conversation.
day of the wedding, I'm just going to do my own thing and hopefully he won't notice.
Does he watch the show?
No, my
okay, you're good.
dad's
Then you're
70.
good.
There's no way he watches
This is
the show.
going to be the one he watches, and he's going to be like, oh.
I wonder what Anna doing right now. Click.
He did once ask me if I was an atheist, and I was like, no, I'm not an atheist.
That was another conversation I had at 15.
It's
Not easy.
You had that conversation at 15?
I had to come out. I was teaching Sunday school, and I had to come out as an atheist to my family.
Oh my God, that's epic.
Very
I want to
difficult.
do a like sit-down interview with you. We'll set that up.
He's
Okay,
kind
cool.
of- yeah.
In the meantime, though, guys, tell us what you've had to keep from your parents? What's the biggest, deepest, darkest secret? This online comment section is the place where you can air your grievances and share all your personal stories. We actually do love reading them. So comment in the section below and we'll see you soon. The game company behind Cards Against Humanity wanted to make an extra buck or two, so they asked people to donate $5 to them. And in return, those people would get dick. So they actually successfully did this. They raised $71,145 on Black Friday by selling absolutely nothing. Nothing, okay? They made so much money that their employees got a nice little holiday bonus, about $4,000 each, which sounds awesome. I don't know why we're not doing this here at The Point. And the company started sharing these like cards or these lists of things that they bought with their bonuses. And I love this. Let's take a look at the first one. This is Carly's wish list. And it's freaking awesome because she wants a vibrating massager in 24 karat gold. Girl, I hear you. Like, just, it doesn't even have to be in 24 karat gold. Like, as long as it's a vibrating massager that's gonna last you a long time, it's gonna be great. Am I being too honest about my love for vibrators? All right, 1-year warranty, arrives in a luxurious velvet-lined wooden box.
Oh my God.
And accessorized with matching cufflinks.
Jeez.
This smooth, elegant vibrator is sculpted to target the G-spot. I mean, this is my kind of girl. All I want to do is talk about the vibrator. All right, let's go on to the next one.
Don't hide it in a drawer, this one. This is meant to be displayed out in the foyer.
Yeah, by the way, did you guys see the over $1,000 that she's planning on giving to Planned Parenthood? Awesome.
Amazing.
This is Tom. Custom men's suit of armor. That sounds like something John Idarola from TYT Network would buy. Chicago Swordplay Guild. This guy is not for me, but that's okay. Do you, boo? Do you, boo? Yeah. All right, so I love this. I think that as long as the company is clear and honest with the people donating, then it's fun. And it's incredible to me how people are willing to give $5 knowing that they're not gonna get anything in return. Shows you how generous some people can really be. What do you think, Hank? Make your point.
I think this is brilliant. I mean, I think this for them was kind of a political statement to show just how gluttonous and ridiculous Americans are.
Yes.
And I know, having been a fan of Colin's blog for a very long time, he's a fan of minimalism. I am as well. And there's always just Christmas time is the weirdest time of the year. I mean, I spent my Saturday watching Black Friday fight compilations. I was like, let's just see how many. There's a good 5 or 6 rotating online. They're glorious, and they're over what, $9 toasters and big screen TVs and all shit that's going to be out. I mean, I watch fight compilations every year, every year, and something that's new is going to become old again. What is the point? So I love that. I love that they did this by calling out.
Yeah, that's actually, they do make a very good point about consumerism in the U.S. and capitalism and how obsessed we are with stuff. So I do like the message that it sends, and I love the fact that it shows that some people are generous. Some of the employees are going to donate to charity. It's just, it's all around a really interesting, fun story. Colin, what do you think? I love that you're a minimalist.
Oh, thanks.
That's something you're known for.
I do too. Yeah. I mean, it's very relevant to their brand. This is a company. I don't know if you know what they did last year and the year before, but I think it was 2013, they did anti-Black Friday where they raised their prices by $5.
That's hilarious.
And they ended up selling more. And then last year, they didn't sell, I think they took all of their other stuff away from Amazon. They didn't have it on sale for the day. They sold boxes of bullshit. Literally, like
bullshit?
Like bullshit in a
Petrified
box.
or fresh?
It was like fresh. It was cleansed bull feces, so it had no diseases or anything, and no like live bacteria. But it was actually bullshit.
What does one do with bullshit?
What does one not do with bullshit?
Display
it,
put it in stockings.
Yes.
So they're brilliant, and I mean they make a great product, so they can afford to do this. This fits very much with their branding. It is the only game that. It's like your favorite game to play with your family, but also terrifying because you have to explain to your mother what bukkake is.
Oh my gosh. You say it in an interesting way.
Yeah,
do I? I've never heard it. I don't think I've ever heard it
say it
said.
again.
I thought it was
bukkake? You say it.
No.
I thought it was bukkake.
Everybody say bukkake.
We're talking about the same thing,
I
right?
think so.
Everyone coming on someone's face.
Yes,
in the
that's
center.
what that is.
It's bukkake.
Mom, aren't you so proud of me? Like,
I just tell my mom
These are
it's
the
like a sex
conversations
thing.
I have
It's
at
a
work.
sex thing.
Yes,
Just a sex thing.
yes. Look, to each his own. I heard that, semen on the face is actually very good for your skin based on a story that we've done on a previous episode.
Cleopatra used to have hundreds of men contribute to her baths.
Oh, I'm gonna barf. That's disgusting. All right, so what is the #1 item on your Christmas list this year? I know that you guys are minimalist, but nonetheless, there could be something that you really want, right, Colin?
I usually tend to think that presence is the best present. Like going in, having a beer. Like people who really insist on saying, I want to buy you something because that's how I show my affection. Say, let's hang out, let's have a beer, let's get a meal, some kind of experience. With my family, usually we'll all get each other board games because that's something we can all do together.
Yes.
Settlers of Catan, things like this. But otherwise with just friends, I say, don't get me anything, or let's sit down and we'll buy each other beers.
Yeah, I love that. You're such a great guy. Hank, what about you?
Yeah, but don't get too attached. She leaves every 4 months. So,
Yeah,
you know.
I know.
I last year it was a Salvatore Ferragamo duffel, which I like tracked it down, found the 10% email discount from Neiman Marcus, got the vouchers, got my gift cards from my Marriott points, and finally bought it because I'm on the road so much. Travel is so miserable. I wanted something nice and sturdy to have. This year, I don't want materialistic things. I literally am just like, I feel like career-wise, I got a little bit of momentum, so I just want another job. I want to just want to build my resume just one more step. So I'm gonna give myself 12 months, just get one more job. And I feel like if I keep the expectations low, I'll exceed them.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like as I get older, as people get older, the materialistic stuff means a lot less to you. Like, I think about myself at 25, which wasn't too long ago, and I would constantly be online shopping and buying myself things. And now I've kind of gotten to a point where I don't care about the presents. Like, I don't want presents. I don't have anything on my list right now. I literally have everything I could possibly need. Anything that I could possibly want. And so more stuff is just gonna clutter my life. So I know that's a lame answer, I guess, but that's really
great answer.
Yeah.
Amazing answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy. I have like this great job with great colleagues and great family, and those are the things that really matter in life. I guess if I could have anything, it would be good health for my mom. And that's it.
God bless her. Yeah.
But anyway, I don't mean to end on a downer. Comment in the section below and tell us what the #1 thing is on your list. Maybe you want the Fallout 4 game. Maybe you already have it and you want to kick that addiction. I don't know. Whatever it is, comment in the section below. Tell us what you think. And you know what I'm going to say. We'll see you soon. One Australian girl has been discriminated against by the company behind Nutella. Nutella just had a recent marketing program where they allowed people to personalize jars of Nutella with their names. Well, the aunt of this 5-year-old Australian girl by the name of ISIS wanted to do that, and unfortunately Nutella put a stop to it because, as you know, ISIS is the name of a terrorist organization in the Middle East, Syria and Iraq to be specific. Now, the Hazelnut Company's campaign launched Make Me Yours just a few months ago, and then after they got negative media attention for denying this cute little girl her own personalized jar, they decided to remain defiant. And they said, look, we know that she's not named after a terrorist organization. We know that ISIS is actually an Egyptian goddess of fertility. But even so, we think this is a bad idea. Now, people also had kind of, I guess, a good time with the jars. You could, like, basically put whatever you want on the online version of this campaign to see what the jar would look like. So people had all sorts of insane names like poop, bread shit, and also cat fluid. As soon as Nutella noticed that this was happening, they put a stop to the previews for the personalized Nutella jars online. Now, I think that this is just another example of people going above and beyond when it comes to terrorist threats and also when it comes to PR nightmares. It's ironic that Nutella did this in an effort to prevent a PR nightmare, but in the process of doing so, they actually led to a PR nightmare. Right. Just let it go. It's a 5-year-old. ISIS means something completely different. Sometimes words have different meanings, right? Like the Young Turks. The Young Turks in America has a different meaning from the Young Turks a century ago. And people have a hard time understanding that a Young Turk is a rebel against societal expectations. So you have to constantly explain to people what the show means, what the name of the show is. But some people, unfortunately, don't understand nuance or varying definitions. But I want to know what you guys think. Hank, make your point.
This is funny. I wish Nutella had learned this lesson from Bill Cosby, who about a year and a half ago, his website, his team also decided to do a campaign where you could like label your own Cosby meme, and they had all these faces of like, you know, classic like stills from his show. Of course, people went buck wild, like, hey, you know, who wants pudding pop and rape? You know, shit like that. It was hysterical. They also went and just, this is the exact, I wouldn't be surprised if we were like the same website algorithm. I was like, this is exactly what happened. And the thing is, I laughed about the ISIS story because I know a girl named Isis. And people have been like, girl, you need to change your name.
That's
and
ridiculous.
She's very redundant. But I see what I can see both sides, because when I was in high school, I knew a guy whose name was spelled Phuc. He's Vietnamese. His name was Phuc Nguyen. And I'm like, you know, maybe you should just call yourself Michael while you're here. You know, like maybe. So it's kind of like, why invite trouble if you don't need to? But this girl is 5. I think that it could go either way. I think Phuc Nguyen should have changed his name to something a little more.
Fuck is kind of on another level.
Phuc.
He could just own that, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he could become a porn star.
Yeah, he could.
He's got a built-in name.
I don't know what he looks like now. This is when he was a teenager. But ISIS is, you know, it's ISIS. This is, I don't know if ISIS will always have the meaning that it means today.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. That's a good point.
Right.
How about you, Colin? Make your point.
Yeah, a couple things, actually. One, you have to assume that if you put customizable anything on the internet, people will go crazy.
Yes.
Reddit and 4chan, and everybody will come over. I remember Mountain Dew did it once, where you could name a new flavor.
Yes.
And the one that won was something like Hitler had some good ideas. And so, of course, and they had to sit there and wait. They didn't have the foresight to take it down. So one, don't do that. That's silly. People vote on where I move, and as soon as the war started happening in Syria, all the votes were for Syria for a couple of months. Because it's the internet. I mean, people are having fun.
People
it's
are
funny.
jerks.
Yeah, and you just have to kind of look at it and say, oh, kids, come on, you're having your fun. But two, how sad is it that they missed this incredible PR opportunity? Because I understand brand-wise why they don't want ISIS written on their label and spread all over the internet, but that's a community, a design by committee decision, and that makes sense to have that just there. But it's this issue, it's a little girl. They had the opportunity when they raised this to just say, you know what, this is our policy, but for you, we're gonna send you 20 cases with your name on it. And then they would have been the good guys that broke their own rule for a specific situation that warranted it.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what's your favorite way to eat Nutella? That's the personal question for the story. I'll start with a spoon. Hank, what about you?
Toast. I lived in London for half a year, studied abroad. That's how the Brits do it. So just
So good.
no wrong way to eat it, though.
There really isn't. Like, I want to swim in a pool of Nutella.
Oh,
That's
it's
how
so
much
good.
I love it. I just love it. Anyway, what about you, Colin?
Don't judge me. I've never had Nutella.
How is that even possible?
Can we get out the jars of Nutella?
I'm
with
sorry,
Colin's
I've never had it. I know. I've somehow managed to avoid it. It's one of those things I feel like I missed a trend. Suddenly everybody was like, Nutella this, it's on all the hipster toast. Like, it's Nutella everywhere. And I'm like so far behind, I don't know a starting point because everybody else is so familiar. They know this person already and I'm still a stranger.
Well, time to get acquainted.
Yeah,
that's
Time
what
to
I
get
hear.
Nutella,
acquainted.
Colin is
I'll take
not
recommendations.
a carousel, so you can go ahead and send him his
You can leave
personalized
comments,
jar.
recommendations, and I'll eat some Nutella.
It's so good. Let me just warn you, when I first started eating Nutella, I immediately gained 15 pounds. I'm not even kidding you because it's so addictive. I would come home from school and literally eat it with a spoon. And I'd have like milk or water next
Where
to
was
me.
this?
So.
In Jersey? Like when
No,
you're- wait,
no,
hold on,
this
hold
is
on.
in LA.
Oh, in LA, okay.
Yeah, even with all the like anorexic models running around making me feel guilty about my own body,
Right.
like I still didn't care. I was like, I gotta have this.
It wasn't
Nutella.
common in the States until recently, so I'm surprised that you got it when you must have had a
I
hookup.
have family in Germany.
There we go.
And they would like send it over in
There we
like
go.
care packages.
It was a war thing, wasn't it? When they ran out of they ran out of cocoa, and then they started using hazelnut instead of the cocoa.
Oh, is that
and
true?
So, yeah, I know the history
Look at
of
this
it.
guy. Look at this guy.
Alright,
I know some of the
Dropping
history.
that knowledge.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little
Boom.
knowledge nugget for you.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, tell us your favorite way of eating Nutella. What do you think? And also, maybe you disagree with us on this Nutella campaign. Maybe you think that they did the right thing in denying this little girl a personalized jar of their product. Comment in the section below. Tell us what you think, and we'll see you soon. A recent study found a very strong correlation between women who have 4 or more tattoos and higher self-esteem. Now remember, they found a correlation, so this could just be a coincidence based on this one study. However, the results are still interesting. The title of the study is Tattoos, Gender, and Well-Being Among American College Students, and they looked at over 2,300 college students to see if there's any type of, connection or correlation between tattoos and self-esteem. The study itself tested the correlations between escalating numbers of tattoos and depression, suicide ideation or thoughts of suicide, number of suicide attempts, and self-esteem. Now, these women had a significant elevation in their reports of 1 or more previous suicide attempts. However, them getting tattoos might have been a way of kind of taking charge of their own body. According to Jerome Koch, a researcher and sociology professor, what we may be seeing is women translating that awareness into empowerment. We know women sometimes replace a surgically removed breast, for example, with elegant body art. We wonder if more tattoos might be a way of reclaiming a sense of self in the wake of an emotional loss, evidenced by a suicide attempt. Researchers explain that tattoos are a credible healing mechanism, which I was actually completely unaware of. So I think that studies like this are really, really important because there is still like this old school stigma when it comes to tattoos, and it's important to move away from that. Like, I personally don't like the way tattoos look, which is why I haven't gotten one, but I respect people who want to make that choice and do it because they love the artistic element of it. They love the way that it helps them express themselves. I think it's a great thing. I want people to stop, creating like taboos regarding tattoos and stop treating people with tattoos as if they're like criminals or something. You still see that all the time, like employers don't want to hire people who have visible tattoos. That's just one example. Let's get beyond it, okay? It's a form of art, it's a form of self-expression. I'd like to see some more progress in that sense. Colin, what do you think? Make your point.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said. I do think that it is something that's been associated with fringe culture and counterculture, punk rock and this rock and roll that the kids with their long hair are wearing. But I think part of that association is that it has been construed as something that is hiding yourself from the world.
Yes.
Whereas in reality, I think in a lot of cases it's amplifying what's inside and you feel that you're not expressing necessarily as easily or intuitively or latently. So having tattoos and having maybe more tattoos allows you to express more facets of yourself to more people without even having to talk to them. So I think it makes sense.
Yes, that's such a great point. I mean, nonverbal communication is so important, and the way we look, the way we carry ourselves says a lot about who we are. And so tattoos are just one way of doing that.
Totally.
Yeah. Hank, make your point.
I love this study, and to your point, I had a very dear friend who died very young of cancer a few weeks ago, and she, before she died, she had wanted to get a tattoo that's, I believe I think it was Let It Be, or it was a John Lennon. It was her mantra. She knew she was dying, that things were going to be okay. And I believe that brought a lot of healing to her family, and it made her feel good. It was about wellness of life. And I love when I hear women who have had breast cancer and they get reconstructive surgery and they get that nipple tattooed on there. And I think that those are obviously the very endearing reasons, but I think, hey, if you want SpongeBob on your back, you should be able to do that too. If he makes you feel empowered, I say more power to you.
Yes, yeah. I agree. How do you alter your physical appearance in order to express yourself? Colin?
Subtly. I don't have any tattoos, but I recognize the art form. I like them on other people. I think that's kind of like painting on yourself, and I prefer more of like the sculpting, I guess.
Yeah.
Like by working out, by choosing how you live your life, what you eat, things like that. You can kind of get the shape and the aesthetics, the composition that you want. So for me, it's more about that, because that way I can change it over time. I can adjust based on how I'm feeling, what I think looks good, that type of thing.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. I think that I express myself through the sculpting thing, but also the way I dress. So sometimes I'll dress really sexy in like tight clothes, and it's because I'm feeling sexy that day. Sometimes I'll just wear jeans and flats, and it's because I just kind of want to be low key, and I'm expressing myself as like a hermit that day, right? Like that's how I like to express myself.
Different sides of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Fashion is, people make fun of fashion a lot, but it is very important if you want to present yourself in certain ways, right?
Absolutely.
Hank, what about you?
Well, I do have some tattoos. I'll show you one that's very conveniently placed.
Oh, okay.
This right here, can the camera get that?
Yeah, we got it. What is that?
So that's Ana Kasparian in Gaelic. I'm just kidding. No.
You know that one of my ex-boyfriends had Anna on his ankle.
Was it you? Was
Yeah,
it for
of course
you?
it was
oh
me.
my God.
It's like wrong spelling or something.
Yeah, it was the right spelling.
That is so crazy. Yes,
Yeah.
No, that actually says Eli, who's my dog, and Eli is just some,
That's awesome.
it's one of those things where it's, people are like, oh, you rescued him, and he's so lucky, and you saved his life, and I was like, no, he rescued me.
Oh
he
my
saved. It's one of the.
gosh.
Any dog owner will attest to that.
Yeah.
They come into your life and they change it forever. And Eli, I barely had enough food to feed myself. I think it was actually financially irresponsible for me to get a dog, but we got through it, and now we're doing okay. So I see it. I say it like he's the first man to ever love me and accept me for who I am. So that's that. And then
What kind of dog is he?
Black Labrador. I'll send a picture. We can put him up. I love him. And then on a very superficial thing, glasses. I age up and down about 5 years, depending on when I'm wearing glasses. And because of my acting jobs, I'm often playing teenagers or college students, and so that'll be no glasses. And then if I have to age up, or look smart or be taken a little seriously, like on a news show, I'll put on some glasses.
Oh my God, I wish I
That's
had
the
your
trick.
problem. I wish I was like, oh God, I just look too young.
Try these. These are a super small
I don't know what to do.
prescription. Yeah.
These are really cute, actually.
They're really cute.
Oh, you guys both wear those
They
well.
go good with your outfit.
You're
and
not getting those
everything,
back.
Anna.
I've been a naughty, naughty student. These are actually really nice. I gotta find out.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, tell us what you think about this story and also share your personal stories. How do you express yourself physically? Do you like tattoos? Have they helped you get through personal issues in your life? We do want to hear from you. We love hearing from you. So comment in the section below and we'll see you soon. All right, guys, thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I want to give the audience an opportunity to follow some of the work you do. Colin, you're all over the place, okay? So tell us where they can find out more information about you.
Sure. If you Google Colin Wright, actually, I've got the front page, so there's a lot of stuff going on there. Colin is my name, is my Twitter and Instagram and Periscope and everything. And then just colin.io is where you can find my books and link to my blog and such.
Very cool. I got to check it out myself. Thanks for joining us, Colin.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And Hank?
Yes. Well, and also, can I just say, Colin's audiobooks are very soothing because he narrates them themselves. I wouldn't recommend driving while listening to Colin's voice because you just might veer off. And but they're so good, so empowering.
Thank you.
Yeah. I feel like a bigger man when I step out of my car, if I make it to my destination. You guys can see me actually live and in person in December 19th at the Nerdist. I will be performing at the Risk live show. They have a podcast. So if you're in the LA area, I would love to meet you. And you can also find me online. Hankster Chen, Twitter, Facebook is Hank Chen is here, but I'm not super active on it, and Instagram. And then I'm on a couple of TV shows. So just, Transparent and Community, and there's just IMDb.
Nothing,
and you can
not
find
a big
it.
deal. I'm just a badass. Not a big deal. Anyway.
Little things like great big shows.
No, a few things. I'm happy to be working. Yeah, very grateful.
You're a badass. All right, I'm
You're a
Ana
badass.
Kasparian. You guys can check me out Monday through Friday on The Young Turks, youtube.com/The Young Turks. And you can, of course, follow me on social media. Twitter, where I just passed 100,000 followers. Not a big deal.
Yay!
I wish that was true of Instagram because I'm like obsessed with Instagram. You guys can follow me there, Ana Kasparian TYT. Instagram, Twitter is Ana Kasparian. And is there anything else that I want to plug? Probably not. Anyway, check me out. I love you guys. Thanks for watching the show. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, never be afraid to make your point.
Ridiculously common, obviously, and it's not just for porn actresses or people in any adult industry. It's women in general that have trouble coming out with this because society tends to push back in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
But two, it's very heartening to see that tools like Twitter are allowing the conversation at least to be a little bit more egalitarian in that they can state their case, they can put it out there, get it on record, do it from hopefully a safe place. And then as a result, push back against this bias because the deck really is stacked against women in society with a lot of things, but with anything sex-related in particular.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great point. Hank, make your point.
I've always been a part of the camp that believes that sex work should be regulated so that there first isn't the stigma and shame associated with doing that because let's be honest, these people provide a lot of private pleasure for us everyday citizens, and yet we're ashamed and embarrassed and humiliated to talk about it and even acknowledge them to be at our level. And I think if we begin there.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Ana Kasparian, and I'm super excited for the show today because not only are we going to talk about some pretty controversial topics and ask very, very personal questions, we also have some great panelists on the show today. So who are they? We have Colin Wright. If you're not familiar with him, it's because we haven't had him on the show yet, but I'm super excited to have you on the show today, Colin. He is an author and a full-time traveler. I asked him if he lived in LA, and he was like, I don't really live anywhere. I'm a citizen of the world, right?
It's a difficult question, always loaded.
Yeah, the last place he lived was the Philippines. No big deal. Okay, so I'm super excited to have you on the show, hear some of your answers, get to know you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. We also have Hank Chen, who of course is a returning panelist and one of my absolute favorites. He's a comedian and actor. He's been on a number of different television shows this year. I think you booked 7 TV shows this year alone.
A few.
Not a big deal. I just have celebrities on here.
No, No. I'm just happy to be working.
That's
Please,
intimidating.
I need some rent money. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you guys on. And we are going to talk about that porn actresses put themselves in unsafe situations. Of course, that's not true, and I couldn't disagree more. Now, this is the type of story that's difficult to have a concrete, hardcore point on. By the way, that pun was not intended.
Wow.
Anna.
But I know I seriously didn't mean that pun. But the one thing I will say is, unfortunately, at this moment, no charges have been brought against him. He has not been tried in a court of law. I don't know what the truth is, which is why it's difficult to pass judgment. The only thing that I can really say is that it's incredibly important as a victim of sexual abuse to come forward and report it as soon as possible. Because if you are a porn star who wants to change the mentality people have about porn actresses, well, you need to come out and tell people what the reality is and some of the abuses that you have dealt with as a porn actress. That's my take on it. Colin, what do you think? Make your point.
Totally agree with your points. I would add two things. One, that this is
Unfortunately, a very terrible story in the porn industry. We'll get to the details of that. There are some rape allegations against one very well-known porn star. Also, the daughter of a DEA agent got caught with possession and possibly trafficking very, very hardcore drugs. Hackers can hack into a new Barbie product. We'll tell you which product that is. And finally, women with tattoos might have more confidence than women without. That's according to a study. We'll get to that later on in the show. But first, let's start off with the unfortunate story. A porn performer by the name of Stoya has accused porn actor James Deen of sexually assaulting and raping her. Now, she did this through Twitter, and it led to a number of other porn actresses coming forward with their own accusations against Deen. Now, I want to show you the tweets in question here. The first tweet from Stoya says the following: "That thing where you log into the internet for a second and see people idolizing the guy who raped you as a feminist, that thing sucks." The second tweet said, "James Deen held me down and fucked me while I said no, stop, use my safe word. I just can't nod and smile when people bring him up anymore." Now, after she posted those very, very difficult tweets to put up there, especially against a very well-known porn actor, a number of other porn actresses, former porn actresses, came forward and they shared their own personal stories in solidarity with her. Two of those women were Tori Lux and Ashley Fires. Lux wrote in June of 2011 that Deen had asked her to sniff his testicles, and then after she refused, he forced her head into his crotch. Also pinned her to a mattress and hit her in the face several times. She says the incident took place on a major porn set, and the reason why she didn't come forward was because she was afraid of the consequences. She was afraid of losing job opportunities because of these accusations, and she also knew that women in the porn industry do get demonized, and if they are raped, it doesn't get taken as seriously because people think that